Hey everybody, welcome to another deep dive. We always go deep here, so buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of UFOs, government secrets. Oh yeah, and we can't forget about the conspiracy theories that seem to follow all this stuff like shadows, you know.
Seems like every time we get a little closer to the truth, things get even murkier.
Right. And we've got a ton of sources for this one. We've got leaked reports, news articles, expert opinions, the whole nine yards. And our goal here is to help you guys sift through all the noise and figure out what might actually be happening.
I like to think of it as separating the signal from the noise.
Exactly. That's perfect. And speaking of signals and noise, let's kick things off with this leaked whistleblower report that's been making waves. It alleges there's this secret Pentagon program called Immaculate Constellation, which is a name we're just hearing now for the first time.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Revealing the program's name like that almost makes you want to believe it?
Yeah, it does add a certain level of, I don't know, authenticity maybe.
Oh.
But the claims themselves are pretty wild, right? I mean, this report suggests that this program has been running for decades, possibly, without any oversight from Congress. And it's been collecting information on all these UFO sightings, or as the government likes to call them, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yes. UAP is a little less sensational, maybe, but ultimately a label for something we just don't understand.
Exactly. And to make things even spicier, the journalist who broke this story, Michael Schellenberger, says he's verified the whistleblower's credentials and the program itself.
That's Michael Schellenberger for you, always stirring the pot.
Yeah,
But he's a good journalist, so this adds another layer to the story.
absolutely. But what really grabbed my attention were those alleged encounters they describe in the report. We're talking orbs surrounding an F-22 and making it divert course, this orange-red sphere seen near an aircraft carrier, and even crew members experiencing weird physical sensations. And come on, it sounds like something straight out of Hollywood.
Yeah, those accounts, if they're true, they really challenge conventional explanations. It's that age-old fascination with the unknown, the idea that there might be something truly extraordinary out there.
Totally. But of course, the Pentagon has officially denied the existence of this Immaculate Constellation program. Their spokesperson, Sue Go,
Yeah.
came out and said there's no such thing.
Which, of course, only adds fuel to the fire for those who are already suspicious of government cover-ups. It's that classic, I'm not saying it's aliens, but kind of thinking.
Huh. You got that right. But that brings us to what the government is acknowledging openly. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO for short.
Hmm.
This is the office that's officially tasked with investigating those UAP reports.
Right, and their latest report, they acknowledge that there are some things they can't explain, but they stop short of saying there's any evidence of aliens or anything like that. They also mentioned this program called Kona Blue, which was supposed to be about reverse engineering any recovered UAP technology.
Reverse engineering alien tech. Now that's a rabbit hole I'd love to go down.
Well, according to the report, it never really got off the ground because no such technology was ever recovered.
Okay, so maybe no alien tech just yet. But here's where things take a turn towards the speculative side. We've got this surge in drone sightings happening all over New Jersey, New York, other states, and it's all happening at the same time that we're seeing this renewed interest in a conspiracy theory from way back in the 90s called Project Bluebeam.
Oh, yeah, Project Bluebeam, that's a real head-scratcher. It is. Basically, it's this theory that says powerful forces are using advanced technology to stage fake alien invasions or like supernatural events to manipulate public perception.
Okay, I can see how that would be unsettling. But what would be the point of doing something like that?
Well, the theory says the goal is to instill fear in the public and ultimately to set up a totalitarian world government, use chaos to create control.
Wow, so it's like a grand illusion to seize power?
That's the gist of it. And it's important to note that Project Bluebeam, this whole thing, it came from a Canadian journalist named Serge Monast back in the 90s. He claimed that NASA, the U.S. government, and this New Age religion were all working together to bring about this new world order with the Antichrist in charge.
That's some serious dystopian stuff. But it seems like some people are taking this theory pretty seriously, especially with all these drone sightings.
Yeah, you're right. And this is where things get even more interesting, especially when we look at who's connecting these drone sightings to Project Bluebeam. Well, one of the most vocal proponents of this whole connection is Alex Jones. You know him.
Oh yeah, Alex Jones. He's, well, he's a bit of a controversial figure, isn't he?
Yeah.
Known for pushing some pretty out there ideas.
Right, but he has a big platform, and back in 2021, he did this interview with a ufologist named Dr. Stephen Greer.
Dr. Greer, yeah, I've heard of him. He's a big name in the UFO community, right?
Yeah, he founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, CSETI, and he's been investigating UFOs for decades.
So they were talking about these drone sightings as maybe being part of some kind of staged event.
Yeah, they were floating the idea of a hoax cosmic threat, something orchestrated to scare people.
I see. And it's not just them, right? I remember seeing something on social media about this too.
Right, a fan page for Charlie Kirk. He's that conservative commentator. Well, they shared a post from a Reddit conspiracy thread that was saying basically the same thing about the drones.
It's amazing how these things catch on, especially online. It's like wildfire, and it's not just random people on Reddit. Alex Jones himself tweeted about it. He called the drone sightings part of a larger psychological warfare operation ahead of major events.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to look at it.
It's kind of creepy, even if you don't buy into the whole conspiracy thing. Makes you wonder.
It does make you think. And,
Wow.
it shows how powerful social media is, how quickly information or misinformation spreads. It's more important than ever to be critical about what we see and read online.
Absolutely. You can't just believe everything you see.
Mhm.
But, it's not just the conspiracy theorists who are finding these drone sightings. Strange. I was reading about this professor at the University of Pennsylvania, Vijay Kumar. He's a robotics expert, and he actually thinks these drones are probably a U.S. government project.
Oh, that's interesting. So he's coming at it from a more technical angle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He says the fact that these drones are being seen near military bases and that there doesn't seem to be any attempt to hide them, well, he thinks that points to them being domestic, not some foreign adversary.
So he's suggesting it could be like some top secret drone program that the public just doesn't know about.
That's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you've got people saying this is all part of some big plan to manipulate the public. And on the other hand, you've got experts saying this might just be the government testing out some new tech.
It's quite a spectrum of possibilities, isn't it? Makes you wonder what's really going on.
Yeah, it does. And speaking of wondering what's going on, let's get back to Dr. Greer for a minute. He's been making some pretty dire warnings about these drone sightings. What's his take on all this?
Well, Dr. Greer, he doesn't beat around the bush. He believes these drones are a smokescreen, a distraction from something much bigger and more sinister.
Okay, so what is it that he thinks is really happening?
He says that U.S. weapons manufacturers, they've gotten their hands on alien technology, and they're exploiting it for their own purposes.
Alien technology. That sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it? But Dr. Greer, he's serious about this. He's been saying for years that powerful forces are working in secret, controlling this advanced technology that could be used for good or for bad.
And he's saying this is all going to escalate soon, right?
Yeah, he's actually predicting a major escalation within the next 30 days. He says his team is investigating these secret black sites where they believe illegal projects related to UFOs and UAPs are happening.
Illegal projects.
Wow.
And he thinks they're going to find evidence.
He seems pretty confident about it. He says positive evidence will be coming out soon.
Okay, well, that's a lot to take in. We've got government secrecy, unexplained phenomena, conspiracy theories, and now warnings about alien technology and secret projects. It's hard to know what to make of it all.
It is a lot, isn't it? But I think it's important to remember that we're living in a time of a lot of uncertainty. Geopolitical tensions, technological advancements, distrust of institutions. It all creates this perfect storm for speculation and anxiety.
That's a good point. It does feel like the ground is constantly shifting beneath our feet.
Exactly. And, with all this talk about major events just around the corner, it's natural to feel a bit uneasy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how do we make sense of all this? We've got these claims of government cover-ups, secret programs, maybe even alien technology. What are the implications if any of this is true?
Well, the implications are huge. I mean, if even a small part of these claims is true, it means there's a level of technological advancement and secrecy going on that's far beyond what most people imagine. It raises questions about the nature of reality, our place in the universe, the limits of human knowledge.
It's mind-blowing to even think about. Imagine a world where governments have technology that's light years ahead of what we know about, maybe even technology that came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It completely changes how we see things.
It does. It makes us rethink our assumptions about power, about progress, about what it means to be human. And it also raises ethical questions about how this kind of technology could be used or misused.
Right. And we can't forget about those experts who think these drones are more down to earth. It may be just a government project. What are the implications if that's the case?
Well, if these drones are human-made, it means there's been a major leap in drone technology and swarm capabilities, which is pretty significant in itself. It raises concerns about surveillance privacy and the potential for autonomous warfare, the kind of warfare where machines are making decisions without human intervention.
And it also highlights how much technology is shaping our lives and the ethical challenges that come with that.
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Technology can be used for amazing things, but it also has the potential to be used in ways that are harmful or even dangerous.
It seems like every path we go down leads to some pretty unsettling possibilities.
It's true, but I think the key is to approach all of this with a healthy dose of skepticism and curiosity. Question everything, explore different perspectives, and be open to the possibility that the truth might be stranger than fiction.
I like that skepticism and curiosity. Those are good principles to live by, especially when we're dealing with something as complex and mysterious as this.
And remember, the truth is rarely simple or straightforward. It's often multifaceted and messy. It's through open-minded inquiry and critical thinking that we can get closer to understanding what's really going on.
Well said. This has been a whirlwind of information, and I think we could all use a minute to process it all. When we come back, we'll wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts and reflections on what we've learned. All right, we're back, and I gotta say, after all that talk about UFOs and government secrets, my brain is feeling a little overloaded.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, isn't it? We've gone through leaked reports, expert opinions, wild conspiracy theories. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose of information.
Seriously. So I'm curious, out of everything we've discussed, what stood out to you as the most interesting or thought-provoking?
Well, what gets me is how these seemingly unrelated things all come together and create these narratives that capture our imaginations. Like you've got drone sightings that lead to people talking about Project Bluebeam, then you have whistleblowers claiming these secret government programs exist, and experts offering all these explanations, some more grounded than others. It's this weird mix of reality perception and that human need to explain the unexplainable.
I get that.
Yeah.
Even after all the evidence and expert analysis we've talked about,
Yeah.
I find myself drawn to the more speculative side of things.
Yeah.
There's something about the mystery, the possibility of something truly extraordinary happening that just gets me thinking.
Yeah, that's the allure of the unknown, right? It drives us to explore, to question, to imagine things beyond what we currently understand. It's what fuels both scientific discovery and those stories and myths we tell ourselves.
It does feel like we might be on the edge of some major shift in how we see the world, but we're still in the dark about what that shift might look like.
And that uncertainty can be exciting and scary at the same time, right? It makes us question everything we thought we knew about ourselves and our place in the universe.
For sure. And speaking of questioning things, I can't stop thinking about Dr. Greer's claims, about alien technology falling into the wrong hands. It's a bit unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah, his warnings, while speculative, do tap into a primal fear we all share. I think the fear of these powerful forces working in secret without any accountability. It raises important questions about transparency and the potential misuse of advanced tech. Who controls it and what they might do with it.
It's like we're living in a real-life science fiction movie sometimes.
Right. And with technology evolving so fast, that line between science fiction and reality is getting blurrier every day.
So where do we go from here? What should people be paying attention to as this story develops?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be really careful about where we get our information from. Check those sources carefully, look for evidence, and be skeptical of anything that seems too sensational or designed to play on our emotions. It's also crucial to consider the motives of everyone involved. Whether it's whistleblowers, government officials, researchers, everyone has their own agenda, in a way.
It's like we're all detectives trying to solve a puzzle, but some of the pieces might be missing or even fake.
Exactly. And the puzzle keeps getting bigger and more complex as new information comes to light. But that's also what makes it so fascinating. It keeps us engaged, makes us think critically, and reminds us that there's so much we still don't know about the world and the universe.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I have one final question for you and for our listeners to think about. If there are powerful forces out there trying to manipulate us, whether through advanced technology or something else, what could their goal be? What are they hoping to achieve?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's a question that has been pondered by philosophers, scientists, conspiracy theorists for ages. And as we enter this new era of rapidly advancing technology and interconnectedness, that question becomes even more pressing. I think the answers are going to be complicated and maybe even a little disturbing, but it's a question worth asking, a mystery worth exploring.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of UFOs, government secrets, and the power of belief. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you more deep dives as new information comes out. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep looking up.